चित्तं गमय Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May the Divine lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. Oh, peace, peace, peace.
Today, this song is Swami Vivekananda's unpublished translation of a song of praise for the Lord. Swami Vivekananda's translation of Sri Ramakrishna's favorite song, Jo Kuch Hai So Tu Hi Hai, all that exists are thou. In Swami Vivekananda's own hand has been recently discovered that song. Sri Ramakrishna would say to Narendranath Datta, the pre-monastic name of Swami Vivekananda, and sing that one, all that exists are thou, echoing the love of Sri Ramakrishna for the song. Swami Shardananda says he would not completely satisfied until he had heard Narendra sing, all that exists are thou. तुझसे हमने दिल को लगाया, जो कुछ है सो तू ही है, एक तुझको अपना पाया, जो कुछ है सो तू ही है, तुझसे हमने दिल को
I am reading from the complete works of Swami Vivekananda. This is volume 1, Karma Yoga. Each is great in its own place. Swamiji says, a certain king used to inquire of all the sannyasis that came to his country, which is the greater man, he who gives up the world and becomes a sannyasi, or he who lives in the world and performs his duties as a householder. Many wise men sought to solve the problem. Some asserted that the sannyasi was the greater, upon which the king demanded that they should prove their assertion. When they could not, he ordered them to marry and become householders. Then others came and said, the householder who performs his duties is the greater man. Of them too, the king demanded proofs. When they could not give him, he made them also settle down as householders. At last there came a young sannyasi, and the king similarly inquired of him also. He answered, each, O king, is great equally in his place. Prove this to me, asked the king. I will prove it to you, said the sannyasi. But you must first come and live as I do for a few days, that I may be able to prove to you what I say. The king consented and followed the sannyasi out of his own territory, passing through many other countries until they came to a great kingdom. In the capital of that kingdom, a great ceremony was going on. The king and the sannyasi heard the noise of drums and music and heard also the criers. The people were assembled in the streets in gala dress, and a great proclamation was being made. The king and the sannyasi stood there to see what was going on. The crier was proclaiming loudly that the princess, daughter of the king of that country, was about to choose a husband from among those assembled before her. The princess of the country was the most beautiful princess in the world, and the husband of the princess would be the ruler of the kingdom after her father's death. The princess came in on a throne, and the bearers carried her from place to place. She did not seem to care for anyone and everyone. And everyone became disappointed that this meeting was also going to be a failure. Just then came a young man, a sannyasi, handsome as if the sun had come down to the earth, and stood in one corner of the assembly, watching what was going on. The throne with the princess came near him, and as soon as she saw the beautiful sannyasi, she stopped and threw the garland over him. The young sannyasi seized the garland and threw it off, exclaiming, "What nonsense is this? I am a sannyasi. What is marriage to me?" The king of that country thought that perhaps this man was poor and so dared not marry the princess, and said to him, "With my daughter goes half my kingdom now, and the whole kingdom after my death," and put the garland again on the sannyasi. The young man threw it off once more, saying, "Nonsense, I do not want to marry," and walked quickly away from the assembly. Now the princess had fallen so much in love with this young sannyasi that she said, "I must marry this man or I shall die." And then she went after him to bring him back. Then our other sannyasi, who had brought the king there, said to him, "King, let us follow this pair." So they walked after them, but at a good distance behind. The young sannyasi who had refused to marry the princess walked out into the country for several miles. When he came to the forest and entered into it, the princess followed him, and the other two followed them. Now this young sannyasi suddenly passed into one of these roads and disappeared, and the princess could not discover him. After trying for a long time to find him, she sat down under a tree and began to weep, for she did not know the way out. Then our king and the other sannyasi came up to her and said, "Do not weep, we shall show you the way out of this forest, but it is too dark for us to find it now. Here is a big tree, let us rest under it, and in the morning we will go early and show you the road." Now a little bird and his wife and their 3 little ones lived on that tree in a nest. This little bird looked down and saw the three people under the tree and said to his wife, "My dear, what shall we do? Here are some guests in the house, and it is winter and we have no fire." So he flew away and got a bit of burning firewood in its beak and dropped it before the guests, to which they added fuel and made a blazing fire. But the little bird was not satisfied. He said again to his wife, "My dear, what shall we do? There is nothing to give these people to eat, and they are hungry. We are householders. It is our duty to feed anyone who comes to the house. I must do what I can, and I will give them my body." So he plunged into the midst of the fire and perished. The guests saw him falling and tried to save him, but he was too quick for them. The little bird's wife saw what her husband did, and she said, "Here are the three persons and only one little bird for them to eat. It is not enough. It is my duty as a wife not to let my husband's efforts go in vain. Let them have my body too." And she fell into the fire and was burned to death. Then the three baby birds, when they saw what was done, and that was still not enough food for the three guests, said, "Our parents have done what they could, and still it is not enough. It's our duty to carry on the work of our parents. Let our bodies go too." And they all dashed down into the fire also. Then the sannyasin said to the king, "King, you have seen that each is great in his own place. If you want to live in the world, live like those birds, ready at any moment to sacrifice yourself for others. If you want to renounce the world, be like that young man to whom the most beautiful woman and a kingdom were nothing. If you want to be a householder, hold your life a sacrifice for the welfare of others. And if you choose the life of renunciation, do not even look at beauty and money and power. Each is great in his own place, but the duty of the one is not the duty of the other." Here is it.
So a short period of meditation. Good morning, friends. Why to live? Is there a purpose of human life? Why do you want to live? If you ask this question to a person, in most likely case, he or she will have no answer. A few will say, to be happy, or to be famous, or to achieve something. Or still a few may say, to love and serve others. When Sri Ramakrishna asked this question to the famous literature Bankim Chandra Chatterjee, he replied, the purpose of life is eating, sleeping and sense enjoyment. Sri Ramakrishna naturally was very displeased, and he said, what one eats, that he or she belches. So the purpose of life, why we want to live, that there should be something, some goal in life. Otherwise, as they say, we will live the life, exist as a human being, but no purpose will be solved. So like, we have different goals in life. Like in student life, there is objective in excellence, to excel others, to be at the top, to get the highest marks, highest grades. And there is objective in family life also. In objective of family life changes. Now you don't want to excel others, that is gone. You don't want to be at the top of your mates, batchmates. Here in family life, you want to take care of children. You want to take care of your relatives, your parents. That's how the purpose of different stages of life changes. But in most of the cases in ordinary human life revolves around lust and greed. That's what Sri Ramakrishna says is the worldly life. What is lust and greed is the phrase that is used, but in fact it is the lust and lucre, or desire and the greed, and the desire for self-enjoyment and the greed. Kamini kanchan is the term. Kamini is the term for physical comfort, physical enjoyment, and greed is something connected with psychological thing. The greed is desire to possess and to feel that if I have something, money or other property, that will make me happy. And the purpose of happiness living is the enjoyment through the body and senses. So Kamini Kanchan denotes both things. So that's how the ordinary man lives around in the life. There are values in life. For example, we know there are very good values. Those who grow up and think about the purpose of life, they want to live a life of values. The values come in helping others, that we see is always great, is to want to help others when they are in need. Or if you are still have a higher values, loving all without distinction, love everyone. And these all values come with sacrifice. Just we read, we heard in the story that how self-sacrifice is needed, and sacrifice also includes charity. When you have what you have earned, you give someone. They say when you give someone until he pinches you, it's not giving at all. So something you give so much that you really feel, yes, I have done something. So there is also another value very important in life, that is forgiveness. That is also we need to live a life of forgiveness. These are the higher values which we seek to live in life, and forgiveness, of course, because without that we will not be leading a life of good human being. Why man forgets to live with these values? At the time of need, many are there, we forget. In this question, Duryodhana said to Sri Krishna, I know what is good in life, what one should do. Janami dharmam. I know that. How should one live? And also, natame pravrittim. I don't have any inclination toward that because I didn't try for that. Janami adharmam. I also know what should not be done, what are negative, what is bad, values in life. Natame nivrittim. I am unable to get rid of those. So even a person knows what should be done, what are the values in life, and yet what is the goal in life, yet that person is not able to practice those because he has not tried for that, and is always carried over by samskaras. Samskara, the tendency that is born with him. So that person is carried with that. Maslow also said in 1934 that there is a hierarchy of human needs. Human needs often change from like physiological needs when you are young. Then we need security, safety and security, we need financial security, we need physical security, we need health-wise security, and still we need to transcend that, and it transcends into psychological needs, like then also we are not happy with that, and we need friendship, intimacy, family, and above that, that also needs change. Then we need esteem, we need recognition in the society. That's how needs always change. And often, even one recognizes and gets recognition in the society, then also is not fulfilled. Then the need of self-actualization. Have I achieved what I could achieve in the life? Have I got whatever potentiality was in me? That type of thought comes, self-actualization. Master says this. And he said, even there is a higher than that. I have achieved whatever I could do in life. Higher than this, the value in life is self-transcendence. I have achieved whatever I could do in life, but I have to transcend myself and realize what is beyond the self, beyond the time and causation. If there is truth, I need to know the truth. So that is the highest culmination of all values, says the Master. In those who live for values, there are two types of people, great persons. One is protagonists of objective change, who want to make this whole world a better world by changing the society, by doing all the things which are incompatible and dividing the world. They want to make it a better world. When Vidyasagar was being said, Yam describes what Vidyasagar to Sri Ramakrishna in the Gospel. He says, Vidyasagar says that we need to live in the world in such a way that if all of us live in the same way, then the world becomes transformed into heaven. That type of life we need to live so that we can transform the world. That way Confucius, you see the teachings of Confucius or Kautilya or utilitarians, they all say to make the world better. That is called protagonists of objective change. But there is another type of great person who says change should be in the subjective world. You try to change yourself and the world stands changed. Swami said it is the subjective world that rules the objective. Change the subject and object is bound to change. So more emphasis on the self, how I transform myself, how I change myself. And when I can change myself, the world stands changed. Our Shastras have said about the goals of life as 14 number. They say there are 4 goals of life, 4 purposes of life. And they say the first one is called Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha. Dharma is righteousness. We need to live a life of righteousness, just life, honest life. Dharma also means teaching. Whatever is teaching of the scripture, that is also called dharma. More it is said in the Buddhist literature. And dharma also means law. So we should be law-abiding. That's also following the dharma. Dharma also means duty. You perform your own duty. That's also dharma. Dharma has many meanings, but it says the decent life of honesty, which is not against the law, and which follows the righteousness, that is the dharma. And this is the one goal of human life. Human beings have 4 goals. All 4 goals have to be there. The first dharma comes. Then comes artha. Artha is prosperity, wealth. You accumulate whatever you need. And that is also one of the goals of lives, in human lives. The first one was moral values, this is the economic values. That is also prescribed. When Yam asked Sri Ramakrishna, should I try to get more money? So he said, yes, of course, you can try by honest means. But what money does is to serve others and to maintain yourself. That is the purpose of money. Money is not to show yourself off as a rich person, but to maintain yourself and give in charity. That is the purpose of money. Householders may try to do that. Sri Ramakrishna will say. Gita also says the same thing, that you should try to do that in the Gita. The third one is karma. Kama is desire or enjoyment. So how much is that done? It's called psychological values. So that is also one goal of human life according to Shastra. You can fulfill your desire for enjoyment. Sri Krishna says in the Gita, Dharma abhiruddha bhuteshu kamosmi bharatasvayam, desire, unopposed to the dharma. Dharma should guide, the law should guide, the moral values should guide how much I can enjoy in this world. When it is within the gambit of dharma and moksha, artha and kama can flow. Dharma and moksha are like the two banks of the river where artha and kama can flow. It should be guided, controlled by dharma and moksha. The third was the kama or desire, a legitimate enjoyment one can have in life. That is the goal prescribed by Shastra. The final goal, the Shastra say, is moksha or liberation. That is the final goal of human beings. So, the liberation or attaining freedom. Swami Vivekananda says, soul always cries, it sings freedom, oh freedom. That is the one cry of the soul in all the midst of everything that we do. That is the inner voice, inner sound of our soul, freedom, oh freedom. That is the enlightenment according to the things where you have liberation or freedom or enlightenment. It is a spiritual value. So four values are we should live for to practice four values in life: moral value, economic value, psychological value, and spiritual value. In dharma, they say, how should we perform dharma in the world? So dharma is performing our own duty in the best, honest way possible. And while performing our duty, they also said, when human being born, they have got 5 deaths. Every human being is supported by 5 types of support. And they have 5 deaths. One is called Devarina, the godly death of God. So what is the God's death? How God has made you. It is by God's grace that we live. So how to get rid of this death? We should try to be free from these 5 deaths. Devarina, Pitrurina, Acharyarina, Nirina and Bhutarina. This is God, death of God, death of ancestors, death of teachers and guru, death of human beings and death of all other living beings. So these are 5 kinds of death that we are all having. As they say, the country when they takes death, everyone has like $700,000 death per head. That is the death in the country that they say. When one is born, he is born with the death because country has taken so much loan from others. In that way, every individual have already dead these 5 kinds of deaths. They have supported us for our existence as a human being and as a cultured human being. One is the death of God, who supports us, who protects us, and who makes us our life possible. So how can Devarina be? We should get rid of Devarina, so we need to do Deva Yajna. We should perform the sacrifice in the name of God. What is Deva Yajna? Worshipping God, loving God, surrendering to God. That becomes Deva Yajna, and that counters the Devarina. Your debt of God is removed by that. What is Pitrurina? We all know how much our parents take care. Without parents' care, we will not be surviving. We will all die. So parents or ancestors, to be able to repay our debt to them is called Pitruyajna. Taking their care, listening to them, living to the ideal that they have taught us. That all comes under Pitri Yajna. Pitri Yajna will nullify the Pitrurina. When we are free from all these 5 deaths, then only we can perform the real spirituality. Acharyarina. Acharya is the teacher who taught us the things. So we should live up to their expectation, and if it is a guru, spiritual teacher, we should live our life as he taught us to live. Don't steal, don't tell lies. If teacher has said, we should refrain from telling a lie. And also he said, do this, repeat this name of God. So we should repeat that name of God. That becomes Pitri Yajna, Acharya Yajna, and Acharya Yajna will make us free from Acharya. The teacher has made us, our cultural, our civilizational, all this has come through the teaching of our teachers. And teacher not only the teachers whom we met, but all ancient teachers who gave us the knowledge, through that knowledge flows. So we should be able to promote that knowledge. And in Taittiriya Upanishad it is said, you should study the scriptures. That is also counter this removing the Acharya is study the scriptures, study the good things, and also read that, speak about that. Swadhyaya pravachanabhyam pramaditavyam. That is Swadhyaya, study it, and also talk about what you have learned to the next generation, to your friends, so that all good thing, goodness prevails in the society. That is also part of dharma, and it's also to get rid of Acharya. Not only our family have taken care of us, so many human beings other than the teacher and the parents have taken our care. Our relatives, our friends, the person who drives us, all they have taken care of us. So that is comes under Nirina. We are supported by so many people, a tailor, a cobbler, anyone support. That's why we are here at this way. So how can we do that? Nirina, how can we be freed from the debt towards human beings? By our love for them, by our prayer for them, by our goodwill for them, that everyone should be happy, everyone should be living in peace. That idea, always the feeling of wellness, goodness that comes from the heart for all human beings. Then only we can be free from the debt of human, this debt. And Bhutarina, other living beings, there are other so many plants, animals, they are there. We are indebted to them as well. Our Shastra said this, with so loving all animals, all creatures, all life, loving all life can make us free from the debt of the beings, living beings. So these 5 debts can be removed in that way. Now in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, the Master said, he used to say again, and you find the purpose of life, goal of life, always said as to realize God. He said, the one goal of life is to cultivate love for God. The love that the milkmen and cowherd boys at Vrindavan felt for Krishna. When Krishna went away to Mathura, the cowherds roamed about weeping bitterly because of their separation from him. Yam humbly asked, how ought we to live in the world? Master, this is very nice. Do all your duties, but keep your mind on God. Live with all, with wife and children, father and mother, and serve them. Treat them as if they were very dear to you, but know in your heart of hearts that they do not belong to you. A maid servant in the house of a rich man performs all the household duties, but her thoughts are fixed on her own home in her native village. She brings up her master's children as if they were her own. She even speaks of them as my Rama, my Hari, but in her own mind she knows very well that they do not belong to her at all. The tortoise moves about in the water, but can you guess where her thoughts are? There on the bank, where her eggs are lying. Do all duties in the world, but keep your mind on God. If you enter the world without first cultivating love of God, you will be entangled more and more. You will be overwhelmed with its danger, its grief, its sorrows. And the more you think of worldly things, the more you will be attached to them. First rub your hands with oil, and then break open the jackfruit. Otherwise, they will be smeared with its sticky milk. First secure the oil of divine love, and then set your hands to the duties of the world. But one must go into solitude to attain this divine love. To get butter from milk, you must let it set into curd in a secluded spot. If it is too much disturbed, milk won't turn into curd. Next, you must put aside all other duties, sit in a quiet spot and churn the curd. Only then do you get butter. Further, by meditating on God in solitude, the mind acquires knowledge, dispassion and devotion. But the very same mind goes downward if it dwells in the world. In the world, there is only one thought, woman and goat. The pure milk, the world is water and the mind milk. If you pour milk into water, they become one. You cannot find the pure milk anymore. But turn the milk into curd and then churn it into butter, then when that butter is placed in water, it will float. So, practice spiritual discipline in solitude and obtain the butter of knowledge and love. Even if you keep that butter in the water of the world, the two will not mix, the butter will float. So this is Sri Ramakrishna's advice how to live in the world so that we can ultimately have realization of God. Practicing putting all our mind in God and yet serving all, whatever is our duty, to perform our duty in the world. Then only we will not get mixed with the worldliness, but we will float in the love of God. We need to be connected in the love of God. That's why Sri Ramakrishna once said, if a boat floats on water, water is there under the boat is good. But if water gets into the boat, it will sink. So we can live in the world if we have this higher thought of getting connected with the divine, then we can float. Otherwise, if worldliness comes in us, we will also sink in the worldliness. Sri Ramakrishna also said further, together with this, you must practice discrimination. Woman and gold is impermanent. God is the only eternal substance. What does a man get with money? Food, clothes, and a dwelling place. Nothing more. You cannot realize God with itself. Therefore, money can never be the goal of life. That is the process of discrimination. Do you understand? Yeah. Yes, sir. I recently read a Sanskrit play called Prabodha Chandrodaya. It deals with discrimination. Master. Yes, discrimination about objects. Consider, what is there in money or in a beautiful body? Discriminate. And you will find that even the body of a beautiful woman consists of bones, flesh, fat, and other disagreeable things. Why should a man become God and direct his attention to such things? Why should a man forget God for their sake? That's what Sri Ramakrishna always said. So he again said, to realize God is the one goal of life. The only thing that we need to live is for God. That's what it ultimately comes. The why to live? Live to realize God, live to love God, live to have the knowledge of spirituality. In one song, the Ramlal was singing to Sri Ramakrishna, Thou art all in all, O Lord, the life of my life, the essence of essence. In the three worlds I have none else but Thee to call my own. Thou art my peace, my joy, my hope. Thou art my support, my wealth, my glory. Thou my wisdom and my strength. Thou art my home, my place of rest, my dearest friend, my next of kin, my present and my future, Thou. My heaven and my salvation, Thou art my scriptures, my commandments, Thou art my ever-gracious Guru. Thou the spring of my boundless bliss, Thou art the way, and Thou the goal. Thou the adorable one, O Lord. Thou art the mother, tender-hearted, Thou the chastising father, Thou the creator and protector, Thou the helpsman who dost steer my craft across the sea of life. Sri Ramakrishna used to like this song very much. In the complete class of Swami Vivekananda, Swamiji says, the ultimate goal of all mankind, the aim and end of all religions is but one, reunion with God, or what amounts to the same, to the divinity which is every man's true nature. But while the aim is one, the method of attaining may vary with the different temperaments of men. Both the goal and the methods employed for reaching it are called yoga, a word derived from the same Sanskrit root as the English yog, meaning to join us to reality or God. There are various such yogas or methods of union, but the chief ones are karma yoga, bhakti yoga, raja yoga and jnana yoga. Every man must develop according to his own nature, and every science has its methods. So as every religion, the methods of attaining the end of religion are called yoga by us, and the different forms of yoga that we teach are adapted to different natures and temperament of men. We classify them in following 4 things. That's what Swami Vivekananda wanted to teach us, that ultimate goal is to realize God. That's what we should live for. Why should we live? We should live for self-realization. Shankaracharya has said in this, what is the purpose of human life? Why should we live? He said, Jivan Mukti. Jivan Mukti Sukha Prapti Etave Janma Dharanam. We have assumed this human life only for one purpose, to have the bliss of Jivan Mukti. We should, when we are free from the ignorance of ourself as this body-mind complex, and we understand we are the witness, we are the pure consciousness. When we could realize that we are the Atma, that glorious Atma which is one without a second, which is all-pervading, immortal Atma, that am I. When we realize that while living, and that is called Jivan Mukti. We have been freed while living in this body. Though we live and move in this body, but our awareness is infinite. We belong, the whole world is myself, whole universe becomes my own self. And that, when that happens, there is a tremendous bliss. And that bliss, to experience that bliss of Jivan Mukti is the purpose of life. That's why we have assumed this life, says Shankaracharya. Jivan Mukti Sukha Prapti Hetave Janma Dharanam. So, but we have many things. So which we find in the world, you see there are people who are happy, who are people who are very sad, so much discrimination. How can we make all this together? When I find I am sick, another person is healthy, I am poor, another person is rich. The discrimination, always we find that how this God, which is so kind, has made so difference, and how can we reconcile with the difference in society, difference in the opportunity that we have got? How we reconcile that? Swami Vivekananda wrote a beautiful poem on that. He said it's the cup. This whole creation of Maya has set some responsibility, something to you. And it is all made by our beloved Divine Mother. So he gives different roles to play differently in the world. Some are happy, some are miserable. These are all the different roles played by us. These are all not permanent things. It's just like coming to the stage of the world and playing the drama of the role that we are given. So sometimes we are given the role of a lame person, sometimes we are given the role of a king. But it's just the role. Play like the role because you were assigned by the director to play that role. So the director is Divine Mother. So Swamiji writes in the cup, this is your cup, the cup assigned to you from the beginning. Nay, my child, I know how much of that dark drink is your own brew, of fall and passion, ages long ago, in the deep years of yesterday, I know. This is your road, a painful road and drear. I made the stones that never give you rest. I set your friend in pleasant ways and clear, and he shall come like you unto my breast. But you, my child, must travel here. This is your task. It has no joy nor grace, but it is not meant for any other end. And in my universe, both measure place, take it. I do not bid you understand. I bid you close your eyes to see my face. So, this poem of his says, no complaint against what we have got in this life, and always thinking it is by mother's sweet will I was assigned to play this way, and thy will be done. Just say, thy will be done, and be focused to mother, because on her wish we are playing this role for the time being, and when this stage finishes, we'll go and change the dress in the green room and go to the mother, bosom of the mother, to the lap of mother, with that faith in the divine play that is going on. Whole this world is the divine play going on. Sometimes it seems good, sometimes it seems bad, but all the play of the mother, and what role of mother was given to me, thy will be done. Just have love for God and have the endurance to pray that, as Rabindranath in one of the songs he said, I don't want to be freed from dangers, but I want you to give me strength to bear the problems and dangers. And these problems, challenges, dangers, they come in life, they make us more experienced, more stronger, by which we move more closer towards God. Whenever something happens in our life, we go, God save me from that. It just comes. So in our life, when we get something good, we should go to the God, Lord, thank you for. They say goodness, it pulls us to the God to thank Him. And when there are difficulties, they push us towards the God to pray that we may be saved from this. So the prayer should be, may I be able to endure this, because I know this is given by you. So take everything, accept everything as it comes in life, and focus on God. And to have the love of God is why we live. Why to live with God? To have the love of God grown in our heart. Real, true love of God, real attraction to God. Thank you.